My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to walk through the entire UFC Vegas 59 fight card, and we're going to talk about DraftKings. We're going to talk about who's worth the money, who's not worth the money, who should be in your lineup, and I'm going to give you all of my picks. Before I jump in, become a premium member. Go to WeWantPicks.com, scroll to the top, and click Become a Member. With premium membership, you get all sorts of exclusive fantasy content, including, but not limited to, DraftKings ownership projections. So if you are doing large tournaments, you want to know what the projections are. So that is up there for you. We also have our favorite fade, our favorite lock, the best value, and all of those picks right there for you early in the week. Check it out now at WeWantPicks.com. Scroll to the top, click Become a Member. It is $10 a month, which equates to $2.50 per event. And if we're looking at this, so you watched this video last week and we talked about Joe Todoro winning $60,000. He's a premium member of ours. Frank Jodane winning like $5,000. Premium member of ours. And now this is actually my brother-in-law. He is a premium member. He knows nothing about MMA at all, but he went on the website, copied some of the picks, threw his name into a $5 entry, and he's pulling out $800. So go to WeWantPicks.com, scroll to the top, click Become a Member. It's literally a couple of bucks a week, and it gives you all the tools you need to try to win some serious money playing DraftKings. So now that we're done with the sales pitch, let's jump into this card. We are going to start at the bottom and work our way to the top. Opening up the card, we got Miranda Silva taking on Stephanie Egger. This is a pick'em. But what's interesting is, so Miranda Silva, $8,200. She is now flipped to an underdog on the sports books. She opened as a favorite here, and I still think she's a favorite. I think she wins this fight. I think she's got solid pressure, solid striking, and she can get this done. The problem is she doesn't score that well. 66 points in a win. I mean, this was 91 because she got a submission. I don't see a submission here. So I think Miranda Silva wins. And I know traditionally speaking, you need the $8,200 fighter or the $8,000 fighter in your lineup for optimal. But I just don't see it happening because Myra doesn't score very well, and I think she wins. If we look at Stephanie Egger, she does score well in her wins because they're stoppages, but I just don't see her stopping Myra Buena Silva. So I'm going to go ahead, avoid these two women, and move on to the next fight. We got Corey Mckenna taking on Miranda Granger, and Miranda Granger's coming back after a 2-year layoff. She had a kid, or a 1.5-year layoff. She had a kid, was a very good striker before she left. Corey Mckenna is actually very good everywhere. And I know she's coming off this loss to Elise Reed, which wasn't the best loss. But Corey Mckenna's got great takedown. She's got great control. She's fast. She hits hard. She does a lot of things really, really well. And I think she gets this done. The problem is $9,100 is an absurd price because she's not exactly a finishing machine. And yes, she's fighting Miranda Granger, who is only 1-2 in the UFC, but Miranda Granger is a very good striker. She's long, she's rangy, she uses that range really well. And if she continues to use that range well in this fight, she could potentially beat Corey Mckenna the same way Elise Reed did. So again, neither one of these women are going to be in my lineup. Miranda Granger is definitely the better value. She certainly can win. I don't see it happening. But $9,100 on Corey Mckenna is a bit extreme. Then we got Josh Quinlan. He has no data here because he's coming off a win on the Contender Series, but it was overturned for USADA stuff. But Josh Quinlan's a nasty striker with big, heavy, powerful hands. And he's fighting Jason Witt. Jason Witt, let's look at this Philip Rowe fight. 4 takedowns. 5 minutes of control time. And he was knocked out in the second round. And if we go pull up Philip Rowe, he only landed 8 strikes in that entire fight and won by knockout. And I think it's more of the same here. I think Josh Quinlan is going to knock out Jason Witt later in the fight after he was taken down a bunch of times. Certainly, Jason Witt is actually probably one of the more live underdogs on this card because of these takedowns. Even in losses like the Phil Rowe loss, he's getting takedowns. So if he could just keep taking Josh Quinlan down over and over and over and holding him there, he can win this fight. The problem is it just takes one punch. His chin is a little suspect. I like Josh Quinlan to win, and we're getting a phenomenal price at $8,600. He should be in your lineup. We got Brian Battle versus Takashi Sato. Brian Battle, $8,700. He's probably worth the money. He scores really well in his wins, and it's just volume and pressure. Volume and pressure. 112 significant strikes. A takedown, 46 strikes. There was a submission here, and he actually didn't look phenomenal in that fight. Still pulled it off, but he did look phenomenal in this Gore fight. Brian Battle's probably worth the $8,700, and I'm just thankful he's not in the $9,000. He's fighting Takashi Sato, who's coming off that loss to Gunnar Nelson, where he was taken down and essentially controlled the entire fight. I think it was 8 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight. He was just taken down and held down. But he is a striker, but he does get taken down, and that's sort of the problem there. Then we have Terence McKinney taking on Eric Gonzalez. Terence McKinney is the biggest favorite on the entire card, the most expensive fighter on, in your DraftKings slate. And he's phenomenal. He's phenomenal. The problem is he is coming off this Drew Dober loss. But you can't just say, oh, loss, what a bum. He scored 39 points in one freaking round. He had a knockdown. He had 2 takedowns. He almost had, separating Drew Dober from consciousness is almost an impossible task. Terence McKinney came as close as anybody is going to do that. He dropped him. He lit him up. He attacked him. And then he gassed. And it was a short notice fight. And then he ended up getting put away because Drew Dober's chin is insane. With that being said, any one of these Terence McKinneys show up, he should beat Eric Gonzalez because Eric Gonzalez only has 1 fight in the UFC. He was knocked out bad by Jim Miller, unconscious, bad knockout. And I do know he's a good fighter. He's a very good striker. He can pick you apart. He can keep you in front of him with teep kicks, and he's actually a good striker. But the whole world decided, well, if Jim Miller knocks you out, then Terence McKinney's going to take your head completely off your body. So I do think Terence McKinney wins. I think in all likelihood he wins by stoppage, but $9,500 is a lot of money to spend. So I'll let you guys make that decision because let's just look again. He scores well when he wins. And even in this loss, 40 points in a first-round loss is pretty incredible. So he's probably going to be worth it. But then you got to really stretch out some of these underdogs. Then we got Mashal Olenjachuk taking on Sam Alvey. Listen, Olenjachuk is a very good striker and a very fast striker. He's got incredible speed. He literally beats his opponents to the punch. He does not have a ton of power. Yes, there's this KO here, but he doesn't have a ton of power. These stoppages are from speed. He's very, very fast. And he's fighting, before I move on, this loss to Jacoby was a bad look because he looked like absolute trash in that fight. Jacoby lit him up, and Jacoby was injured and threw 0 leg kicks, which are sort of his thing, right? So not a great look in that last fight. He's also a tremendous favorite, and it's because he's fighting Sam Alvey, and the whole world is going to say, holy shit, look at all these losses. Loss, draw, loss. That's not good. That is not good. But let's look a little closer. The reality is decision. Submitted here, sure. Decision, and then the Allen fight was a submission. If we talk about the Allen fight for a second, that was Brendan Allen, who everybody just loves to think is amazing. Sam Alvey won that first round. Touched him up, looked good doing it. Then he got cracked in the second. He wasn't out, but it definitely affected him. And then Brendan Allen jumped on his neck. I don't think Sam Alvey wins this fight, but he's certainly not as bad as his recent record says. He's got sneaky power in his hands. He's incredibly durable. And a lot of these fights could have gone the other way. A lot of people think he beat Turman. People think he beat Ryan Spann. This draw with Jung, that was the fighter everybody thought was going to separate Dustin Jacoby from his consciousness, which I've used that phrase twice in this video now. Anyway, moral of the story, I think Michelle wins this fight. Sam Alvey's not nearly as bad as people think he is, but $9,300, a lot of money to spend. I don't necessarily think he's going to get the stoppage. Then we got Ariana Lipsky taking on Priscilla Cachera. Ariana Lipsky, she's a solid striker. She does have good grappling when she uses it, and she's coming off this win over Mandy Bohm. The problem with her grappling is she needs to be on top. She has trash grappling off her back, but if she gets the takedowns and she's on top, she can really do well there. And she scores well. Listen, $8,400 is a solid price. 99 points over Bohm, 95 over Carolina, 102 over Gloria DePaula. Those are solid points for wins, especially at $8,400. And she's fighting Priscilla Cachera. Priscilla Cachera is coming off this fake win over Kim because she lost that fight. She got hit more. She lost every single exchange. She does have, she recorded one takedown, 27 seconds of control time. So everybody except those three judges thought Priscilla Cachera lost that fight. The reality is she's tough. She's gritty. She's got power in her hands. So this fight comes down to if Ariana Lipsky can just touch, move around, touch, move around, she will win. She will score really well. If Priscilla Cachera can get her down, that's it. Priscilla Cachera is going to win. Hold her down, beat her up, elbow her, do all of those things because, as I mentioned, Lipsky's solid on top, terrible on bottom. If you want to throw Cachera in your lineup, she's probably a live underdog here. $7,800 is not necessarily a great price, though. You'd like to see $73,000. And then you could start messing around with a Terence Mckinney in your lineup. Then we've got Spivak versus Sakai. Sergey Spivak, he's very big. His striking is just okay, but he's a grappler. He'll come forward, he'll take you down. He's got some solid grappling. This win over Hardy, he decimated Hardy, and he took it on short notice, but we all know Greg Hardy can't grapple. The loss to Tom Aspinall, listen, Tom Aspinall, outside of his last fight where he got injured, has been putting everybody away, so that's a good, solid loss. This win over Olenek was actually a sloppy shit show, but he got it done, didn't get submitted, and, didn't really score that well for $9,200, but listen, he got the W. The reality is this fight looks like the Vandera fight, the Philippe fight, right? And actually, he beat Tuivasa a few years ago. Looks like that as well. It's going to be takedowns. It's going to be elbows. It's going to be controls and potentially a submission there because Augusto Sakai is a Muay Thai striker. He hits hard. He doesn't have much to offer in the grappling department. If he gets taken down, he's got nothing to offer you. So I see Sergey Spivak getting the takedowns, winning the fight. $8,800 is a solid price point for somebody who I think might get a stoppage here. Then we hit the Ultimate Fighter finales. We're not going to have any data here for either one of these women, but we got Juliana Miller taking on Brogan Walker. No data. They've never fought in the UFC officially. The reality is Brogan Walker is the more experienced fighter. She's got high-level experience against current UFC fighters that are ranked in the world. And she beat one of them in Miranda Maverick. Her only losses are to UFC fighters, Aaron Blanchfield, who's on a tear, and then Pearl Gonzalez, who's a very solid fighter as well. So Brogan Walker takes her grappling experience to this fight. She does consider herself a striker. She's definitely a grappler, but she's got some solid striking as well. The world has decided that Juliana Miller is the favorite here, and I honestly don't understand why. She comes out like a tornado. She's probably one of the most mentally tough people that were in that Ultimate Fighter house. I just don't think she's going to be enough. She's not going to be stronger. She might be a little faster. She's not going to have the control. She doesn't have the experience. I think Brogan Walker absolutely gets this done. I don't even think it's a very close fight. $7,900. Again, you like to see a bigger discount on your underdogs, but I think Brogan Walker gets it done. I think there's takedowns and control time, so she might be worth the $7,900. Then we have the heavyweight Ultimate Fighter finale. Zach Pauga is taking on Muhammad Usman, who's Kamaru Usman's younger but larger brother. Listen, this is striker versus grappler. Pagua is a very good grappler. He's got good takedowns, good pressure, but he's a light heavyweight. And once you start working up, size does matter. Muhammad Usman's a big dude, an athletic dude. He's not the wrestler that his brother is, but he was a college football standout, played high-level college football. He's fast. He hits hard. We have seen him lose grappling matches, especially in the PFL. We watched him get taken down and controlled by Brandon Sales. But the reality is, I still think Muhammad Usman gets this done. He hits like a freight train, and he's got incredibly high-level training. And he has for a while. And you can see the evolution in his fights. You see him get more controlled. Before, he's looking for takedowns by bending over. Now he's lowering his level, keeping people at the end of his jab. So I think Muhammad Usman is actually the better fighter. People hate him. I think he's the better fighter, but the wrestling of Pagua is concerning, right? Because that's all he needs. That's all he needs to do. If he can get a couple takedowns, that's it. He wins the fight. So that is concerning for me. I'm probably not going to have either fighter in my lineup, but I don't think 8,900 is worth it. I think 7,300 is great value, but the risk of being taken down and held down the same way that he lost to Brandon Sales, that concerns me. Then we got the co-main event, Vicente Luque taking on Jeff Neal. We all know Vicente Luque by now, right? I picked Muhammad in that fight, but not because Bilal Muhammad's the better fighter, but because we watched Michael Chiesa take down Vicente Luque like nothing. So then no shit, Muhammad Usman was going to do it. I don't know why people didn't see that outside of me and a handful of others, but he's coming off that loss. Fine. He's still an incredibly good fighter. He's got slick jiu-jitsu. He's not even the most powerful guy, but he's getting these knockouts because he's great timing. Comes in, great footwork, phenomenal striking. He's very well trained, has great training partners. He's very, very good, and I'm telling you right now, at $8,500, he is the best value on this card and needs to be in your lineup. He's fighting Jeff Neal. Listen, Jeff Neal is no slouch himself. He's got some solid wins, but he's also got some pretty, not great losses. He's a good striker. He's got real power, decent volume, and solid takedown defense. This Ponzinibbio win was a pretty close fight, honestly. The Magny loss was not great. The Thompson loss was not great. But then he does have some solid wins, and look at this. I mean, look at the power. That is what concerns me. We haven't seen Vicente Luque get cracked and put out, but it is not, it's not out of the question that could happen. And then we got the main event of the evening, Jamal Hill taking on Thiago Maheta Santos. Jamal Hill has just been destroying people. He's got incredible power. This loss, it says KO, TKO. It was technically a referee stoppage, right? He was in an arm bar, didn't tap, his arm snapped, and the ref was like, holy shit, you're done. So this wasn't a chin issue. Paul Craig did what Paul Craig does, which is submit people after he's almost dead. Jamal Hill has incredible power. My only concern for him in this fight is round one. Round two, fine, okay. And then one decision here. That's my concern, is I think he's gotten very comfortable in these last few years sticking around in the first and second round. And I said he's got power. He showed power in the Walker fight, but the reality is he's long and his timing is fantastic. It's not necessarily one-punch power. And the reason that it concerns me is because Thiago Santos is nowhere near the person he used to be. Like, he's 1-4 in his last 5. He is not what he used to be, but decision. And even the Teixeira fight, he almost took Glover's head off, but then he gassed and Glover took him down and just grinded him out. My point here is Jamal Hill needs to be prepared to go 5 rounds because that's all Thiago Santos has been doing. He's been going to decisions. 5 rounds in his last 2 fights. The Rasic fight was 3 rounds. Teixeira, 3. John Jones, 5. Granted, that was a few years ago and he blew out both his knees. But my point is, Thiago Santos is a durable guy. And if Jamal Hill thinks he's going to take Thiago Santos out and get him out of there early, it's probably not going to happen. He's probably going to have to put in some work. If he gets a stoppage, it's likely in the 3rd round or something like that. So I think Jamal Hill wins. I don't necessarily know if he's going to win by stoppage. $9,000 is a lot of money to spend. If you think he's going to win by stoppage, then he's absolutely worth it. My only concern, as I've said, is he prepared to go 5 full rounds with one of the tougher guys in the division. Guys, don't forget, become a premium member. Go to WeWantPicks.com, scroll to the top, click Become a Member. You will get DraftKings ownership. You will get our value play, our underdog play, our favorite play, and our best fade, who you should absolutely not have in your lineup. All of that content, plus betting content, plus other fantasy stuff, is available now. WeWantPicks.com. Scroll to the top, click Become a Member.